Hey, here we are with my favorite game, Minecraft. Excuse me. Excuse me about that. Sorry, Yahoo. You ain't getting my email notifications yet because you won't let me. You won't let me, you son of a bitch. And every time you do, I get like a bling every time I get a goddamn email, and it always disappoints me. Always, because my editor rarely ever talks to me. It's very much a concern with me. I get really anxious because I want my book to succeed and do well. But it makes me so anxious. Wild Sauce appeared. Hello there. We're back into the Minecraft. In the Minecraft. There we go. We have the one now. We're doing good. Doing pretty all right. I haven't touched the game since last we left off, but you know that's a good thing. That's a good thing for some of y'all because some of y'all want me to start fresh. Some of you don't want me to rob you of any value that you get out of watching this. Y'all don't get any value out of watching this. Let me just eat a fish here. Let me just slap it against the dirt real fast to make sure that it's nice and fresh. Is this it? No, this isn't it. We have to go all the way to the back. All the way to the back with a hey, look, we already found coal. We didn't even get started yet. Nice. Nice, that's all me. Oh man, I am an expert at this game. Look at how talented I am at building and operating mines, also known as crafting them. But how are you doing in TV land? I don't give a shit because nobody is watching this. Ha hey. Nah, I'm just kidding. I love whoever watching. I want you to know you are loved, and it ain't worth, and you ain't worth like you know it's not worth killing yourself. Killing yourself, it ain't worth it. You're worth more. And I'm a shining beacon to those who are considering it, because it's like, hey, you know, your life could be worse. You could be me. Where am I supposed to be going in this direction? Why am I here? Why are we all here? That's the real question that we have to ask. Have to ask ourselves. Huh? There is nothing here. All right. Why did I make this area? Okay, that's a tragic end. Rather flaccid end, too. But hey, we've got plenty of coal. I'm seeing lots of coal here. That's a start. That's a start on the grand adventure. And you know, it's considering the fact that I haven't given up after like, what, 4 years, 5 years since I started this channel? And you know, I barely get like maybe 100 views a day. I got over 1,000, like over 2,000 videos. And, you know, I don't give up. I don't give up. I don't get my hopes up either. But you know, I'm still going. I'm still working. Dedicating myself to this. Why? Because I have fun doing it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with having some fun. Having some fun with yourself, playing by yourself. With and by, you know. I mean, a lot of people are going to critique me over me just talking to myself for about an hour or so every now and again. You know, they don't have to watch, and you know, if they complain about it, that's their problem. It don't affect me. It don't affect me none, because I don't owe them dick. I don't owe them anything. It's like, and I don't even advertise I don't even put ads on my videos anymore, because, you know, I'm just like, you know, if nobody's watching, might as well not even, like, give them less interest to you know, watch. So it's like, hey, yeah, I don't get paid dick for this content, but you know, I'm having a good time. I like enjoying. I like enjoying. Fun fact: I like enjoyment like a normal person does. Even though I call myself far from normal, but you know, we are who we are. And you know, that's another thing you shouldn't judge people for, unless you know you're impacted by what they think or say or all of the above. Unless you're like directly impacted, in which case some critique is valuable. I mean, I don't remember being too toxic on my channel. More like, you know, shooting the shit. I mean, especially with this, especially with the when I finally bit the bullet and played the Minecraft. And No, that was a big step for my channel. It's where I was just like, hey, it's a fun game. Might as well. I mean, it won't lead to nothing, but no. But this game is about playing. It's about having the fun game, and Minecraft is fun. And it's a nice like kickback hobby game. I'm gonna eat another fish. And am I seeing, am I really, man, I really need to do some reconstruction on all this. Look at, there we go. There we go. Now we can go all the way back down into the mines and maybe find something worth a damn. Worth a hot shit. Ooh. Ah. Delicious, delicious Coke cane. No, it's actually just regular Coke. Well, let's start up here, even though let's go all the way down. Let's go as far down as we can go, buddy. I say as I turn the direction around. Just in case something tries to spawn in here. We don't have any. Oh wait, no. Yes we do. Yes we do, Silas. Don't jump. Oh no. I can't die now. I have my mending rod. Oh man, I took a big mistaken gamble on here because this is like my most valuable possession. Because every time I toss it into the river, like it heals itself, which is fucking perfect, which is the ideal rod. So, shit, I'm kind of nervous. I can't fuck up. That would be very bad for everyone, and everybody would scream. Oh hey, look, there's a dirt. My obsessive compulsion insists that I remove this dirt. Get it? Must be clean. Never clean. All the dirt, all the time. But yeah, no, like, even though I am supposed to be recording for Batman tomorrow, it's like, I'm just like, it's been a while since I recorded my monthly Minecraft, so, no time like the present when I've got some free time on my hands. And thank goodness for that, because they've been working me like a dog at my work lately, at least as far as a part-time job with no benefits goes. Like, I had to waive all my benefits even though I'm being paid more than 20 hours a week. Like, it becomes stop and start. It's a stop and start job because, we work on order essentially, so yeah, as long as there's like a specific amount of people that sign up for a specific amount of time, they can do away with our workers' rights. Of course, we don't really have any workers' rights because we live in goddamn Utah, right to work garbage ass state, where it's just like, hey, poor people, fuck the poor people. They don't need dick. They don't need nothing. They can go straight to hell. That's the sound of the Sinclair people, because, the Sinclair likes to... a lot of their business tends to be around here. In Colorado. Just because... Like, here's an interesting fact. People assume that oil is made from dinosaurs, when actually dinosaurs only make up a real small percentage of oil deposits, like, period. And the reason for that is because, for whatever the reason why they think that it's all dinosaurs is because, how do I put it? Why isn't that? You know what? This is clean house with that. No, we should be fine as long as we don't touch any of those. I'll be lighting this shit on fire. Now I've got to be very careful, make sure there's an exit strategy. Okay, this is my exit strategy. Is because they found massive, Sinclair in particular, the people who at least turned into Sinclair, essentially found, like, big ass oil deposits, like, right next to a dinosaur, like, right next to a dinosaur, like, I want to, my instinct just wants to call it a place, just a digging site, and they're just like, oh, maybe it's all. Ooh, that was scary. Maybe it's all dinosaurs, and they adapted it as their logo, and yeah, that's how they just managed to push their logo so hard, based off of some pseudoscience that they just pretty much assumed. Though at the time there was some theories about dinosaurs actually being responsible for oil, but of course they didn't pan out. But by then it was too late, and the general conception was that dinosaurs were the oil. But no, it's all just plankton. All just really ancient plankton, bacteria, stuff like that. And that's why you have so much oil in the world and not quite as many dinosaurs or dinosaur skeletons. That's why they aren't whittling down dinosaur skeletons in order to like crack open and get the oil, is because nothing is gonna come of it. And of course, those bones are preserved real nice like they whenever there's a dinosaur, whenever you see a dinosaur skeleton, like a whole one, feel bad for them, because they probably drowned in tar. That's the most common one. So yeah, no, it's not a pretty way to go. In case anybody's like, dude, if I was a dinosaur, I would want to land in a museum. It's just like, fuck no, you don't. You want to have all of your, what remains of you just erased, because, you know, going out like that ain't so pretty. I don't think I need to be a paleontologist to tell you that much. Y'all know. I don't think anybody wants to drown. We've all seen Prestige. Like where he starts like drowning all of his clones and shit. Spoilers, I guess. Man, David Bowie was so kick-ass in that role. Like the way he like rarely talked, it was just real intimidating. Fucking Tesla. Like what an amazing person that we lost. I still can't get over it. It's like, really, David Bowie and Tom Petty went before Bob Dylan. Did Bob Dylan just like absorb their souls, or is this like some kind of revenge for him, for them effectively stealing their his fan base? I mean, don't get me wrong, you can enjoy both, but like as soon as the Beatles introduced like electricity, electric instruments to Bob Dylan, is when everybody was just so mad. Everybody felt like, his hipsterism is all gone. And that's why you have to be a really pretty good music fan in order to understand, like, not understand Bob Dylan, like, I'm not talking about, like, oh, he's so deep, but, you need to have some kind of, like, musical appreciation in order to understand Bob Dylan nowadays. In order to get a feel for who he actually is. Cause he sings like this. And it's real weird. But some of his songs are really catchy. Oh, so wait. I'm Bob Dylan. That's where you got my impression that I really like. Whether or not it sounds like him, I don't care. I don't really care. But, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the worst impression I've ever heard. Like, that's like, that vocal performance that I did, so wait, Bob Dylan. That's my warm-up in order to get into the Bob Dylan voice. Once again, it's not saying, oh, well, my one easy trick to imitate Bob Dylan perfectly, because, like, you know, it's not the world's greatest impersonation, regardless of what you think. Regardless of what I think, too. But, you know, like, that's just my way of getting into the thought process. Is when I talk just like this, it's really, really bad. I can't get it out of my head. Man, that was bad. That was just poor. Poor quality. I'm so worried about just the lava suddenly just pouring in. It seems to be unfortunately consistent. I have some horrible, shitty luck in this game. Particularly when it comes to villagers, as I'm sure anybody who's actually watched every single, like, Minecraft video I've made just, does. It's a sword! Why do I have a thing when I need a sword? Thank you. Alright, you son of a bitch. Alright, you son of a bitch with your gold jeggings. Go! Let's go! Die! Rip! Really? I don't get your gold jeggings? Nah. Rude. I'm disappointed. I just wanted some zombie jeggings. That's all. Oh man, so I just watched this new movie. Not a new movie, it's fucking from the 70s. It's called Land of the Minotaur. And I was expecting something along the lines of like Dinosaur Planet or something like that. But no, it was just a cult movie about Satan that is that has a coincidental Minotaur statue that I don't think was ever on the set. I'm pretty sure that all of the statue was just by itself in every shot that pictured it. And it was just a big old Minotaur statue. No real Minotaur, just a dang ass statue of a cult. Like, I expected Dinosaur Planet, but I got Wicker Man. It's very weird. Peter Cushing was in it, and I like Peter Cushing. Like, I miss him so goddamn much, and I am pretty disappointed in Rogue One for trying to bring him back, and the CGI on his face was, you know, they tried, and you know, an animator somewhere did a hell of a lot better job than I would bother doing, like, to be clear. But is it something that's worth writing home about in terms of, like, high-paying, like, blockbuster films? Not really. Not really. It really felt like they should have just had, like, distant. He was like Jar Jar. It was like having a human Jar Jar. Fuck off! Thank you, Jesus. Get out of here. Get out of here. And I still can't get over like how much his like characters, like the fucking twitching on the CGI Peter Cushing's face in that movie in Rogue One was just so scenery chewy. Like, I mean, obviously they're trying to hide the fact that it was CGI, but it's like they made it too real to make it was so, they tried so hard to make it look alive that they just made it look fake. I'm trying to think of the best example other than that one that I can think of, where it's like they tried to double down real hard on the life side, on the lively aspects of it, but I don't know. It was just really, they just tried a little too hard with all of its motions and animations. But I'll give, you know what, credit when credit's due. The fucking voice actor for that Peter Cushing was spot on, I must say. And I wonder if, like, if we could ever get, like, him in a Star Wars game, and like the impersonator, whoever impersonated him in it, because real talk, it was real good speech. No, not today, bitch. Not today. Oh, but I'm gonna grab that iron once I light up this joint. There we go. Hopefully nothing will come from that side, or any other side for that matter. Oh man, I need to turn off my, not my screen necessarily, but I need to hide the timer, because I keep looking at it and it's a little too tempting to just say, hey, I've only got this much time left, or I've only this much time has passed by, when, you know, I don't think it matters at the end of the day. Like, I'll check it every now and again, but, you know, for the most part, like, my computer handles this pretty well. I mean, obviously it won't be glitching out at all, I hope. Let's knock on some wood. There, I tapped on it lightly with my finger. How far does that superstition go? Like, does it have to be solid wood? Like, can it be wood-based products? Like, I'm pretty sure cardboard has some wood to it, doesn't it? Like, there's no way that cardboard is a thing all in its own. Like, hey, look at this! It's a cardboard tree or cardboard bush. You know, I'm pretty sure there's some wood in there. I'm not a I was gonna say I'm not a philosopher, but I'm more of a philosopher than I am a herbologist. Would you say herbologists study trees? Like maybe anthropologists? No, not anthropologists. Paleontologists study trees? Huh. It's a big old mystery right there. The world will never know what it took, man. I love dinosaurs to death. I really do. Even that guy who was like picking on all of us college students, like especially me, for asking questions like at the digging site when we went to a archaeological dig, was like, you know, he couldn't turn me away. Like, yeah, he was an asshole, and you know, I never really fancied myself to be an actual paleontologist because turns out, hey, being a dinosaur-based paleontologist is actually like really fucking rare. And knowing me and how semi-determined I am, I'd probably go all in on dinosaur and it's just like, hey, it's not in the cards for you right now. But here's some, I don't know, some goddamn seaweed for you to analyze from over a couple thousand years ago. And I'd be like, fuck! Like I am right now with my goddamn film degree. It's like, hey, there are no jobs for you. And I'm just sitting here like, making my own jobs. You know, making my own jobs that go nowhere. But like I said at the very start of this video, I'm trying, doing what I can. And, you know, even if this doesn't amount to nothing, hey, I'm passing life by. I'm doing my time, making my stride. It's like, I don't expect to be doing anything miraculous in my life. I live in just Utah, for crying out loud. Like, excuse me, I'm just trying to peer over my recording device laptop to see where the hell my shovel was. But you know, I'd like to amount to something before I die. Like, you know, I've got my books and I'm working on all of them, and that's all well and good. I just want something to happen before I die. You know, maybe my books, like I said, I hope something happens beforehand. But you know, maybe my books will be sleeper hits. Like it's just cult followings and whatnot. Like, oh man, that'd suck. Cause I've got so many fucking ideas, and it's like, if not a single one lands, then it's like, fuck me. I'm so upset. I'll just be screaming, like, screaming bloody murder as I'm on my deathbed at age 70, like, you damn kids never reading my fucking books! Dead. And, you know, that's how they'll remember me. That guy who won't shut up about his life's work. Maybe it's because it's my life's work! Ah! Oh man, look at that despawn. Look, there it is. There it is. You can see it out the corner of your eye. I love to hate it. Alright, I'm gonna check around me every now and again to make sure there aren't any. Oh, that's a real comforting sound. Oh yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Is that the Ender Dragon? Everybody's favorite addition to this game? Oh goodness. Fucking Notch just got lucky once in his fucking life with this game. And is just like, yeah, fucking billionaire. Even though he's a goddamn, like, Nazi apologist. Like, it's all, like, unfortunately, at a certain point, money blinds a person. And that's why I try to steer clear of, like, actually getting $1 million or so. Like, once somebody hands me $1 million, I'll just be like, all right, I'll donate like $1 to some kind of charity, and then keep the rest, because I don't want to be completely blinded. Like I like the idea of just not having to worry about money. Like, and I think a cool $1 million is where that goes. And that being said, I still want to remain working class because, like, I think I've mentioned in my other videos, at least at some point, that I don't think anybody deserves $1 million. Because once somebody, like, over $1 million. Because once somebody hits that over, it's just like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, if you keep building up your fucking empire, then when are you gonna stop? When are we going to say, okay, you're corrupting the economy now, let's get some of that money back for the sake of, your riches actually being worth a damn. That's the big issue with currency altogether, is you compile it into one place and it's suddenly worthless. And that's why, I also argued that, just because the big issue with having so many rich people in a single environment just basically creates a big issue for the majority who don't have that same wealth, because their dollars, well, I have gone down in value. They require it essentially just stagnates the economy, slows everything down. And that's why, like, circulation is essential to a proper functioning economy, the way that, at least, the way that capitalism, like, defines it, the way that we understand it as capitalists, is that we need to keep money moving. Now, the more people who are rich means that there are more poor people. Typically. At least that's the way that that's the way that things occur when there isn't a proper redistribution of the wealth. Is that the divide gets bigger and bigger between the rich and the poor, that the economy is heavily impacted by such a division. Because the poor can't save up, and the rich need the poor to buy their product in order to remain rich. And if they don't remain rich, and if they risk losing said wealth, they begin to increase their prices to make up for the fact that they increase their prices, expecting more people to buy. That's expecting the poor people to buy things for cheaper, for more expenses than what they were initially worth. And so that creates a big divide, because it's like, if nobody's buying the the more expensive product, then guess what? You are phased out, and that's one of the benefits to a circulating economy, is that there are people in business who are willing to take that hit, who are willing to not be quite as rich, and those people end up usurping the former companies who increased their prices for the sake of their own wealth. And next thing you know, though the wealthy before are losing money, and the people who create the more affordable product, they end up going straight to the top. The best example that I can think of is Uber, where it's like, hey, standards got lax with cab drivers, and so then, because the economy was repressing, the cab drivers increased their prices, and then suddenly came a new service that, was more affordable, that had higher conditions, and next thing you know, they're top dog. Like, I sincerely think that they pretty much own more than taxis do altogether now, as far as like actual service goes, because you know you can just call them immediately and it's like boom, there they are. Now of course this provides a few exceptions in certain countries. Like I'm sure that a majority of the poorer countries still utilize taxi services as opposed to say smartphone required services like Uber or Lyft. But like now Uber, them being at the top, they're starting to feel the crunch as well. They're starting to feel the repercussions of greed, because it's like because there was the tipping service that was a major issue for a time, and they added to it, but then it's like, oh wait, they aren't handing out free rides to they aren't compensating people for driving to protests, which you know has been like a courtesy to through taxi services and likewise, and they've been caught in the middle of doing that. And by reimbursing them for going to protests, it essentially means that, hey, they stiff the bill for people who are coming and going to a protest, in at least when it comes to the unionized protests, they're supposed to stiff the bill. It's supposed to be like a common courtesy thing between the unions and the taxi services, because you know the taxi cabs have a union, but the big issue is that Uber doesn't have a union. I believe they are considered part of like a drivers coalition, like something along those lines, but it's nowhere near as powerful. And that's why they can get away with stiffing the bill on protest driving. And, you know, it was just seen simply as bad form, which is understandable. And I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if they like actually changed up the way that they've done practices with that. As far as I know, I don't think they have, but once again, I haven't looked into it for a while. Oh, excuse me, goodness. I just keep going. That's what happens when I drink my Coca-Cola. Oh, but yeah, I believe I'm afraid that I just hit that wall where it's just like, how'd I get on this subject? I don't know. Oh, but yeah, redistribution of the wealth. Like, without it, like, you just have this cycle of companies coming and going. Another big issue with it is like a big blow to and this is an interesting argument that I've heard libertarians discussing. Is like I heard like the first thing that I heard was, hey, guess what? They fucking got a like we've got to cut out what's the term I'm looking for? We've got copyright, we've got to stop intellectual property rights. And then another argument was, no, intellectual property rights define what someone owns and what they don't own. Therefore, it is a necessity. And that's why, like, one of my favorite arguments that I brought up against libertarians, like like as in the Libertarian Party, which, I mean, the Libertarian Party is in the United States of America. I don't know how they are anywhere else. Maybe they have similar conservative values. I doubt it, because the right in the United States is very, very intense. Like, even the libertarian left is it can be a little intense at times. But anyway, the big like showstopper that I've seen libertarians like go at each other's throats when it comes to intellectual property rights, because like the people who say, oh well, they own that, like this is what defines them owning that. It's like, what about for types of products, because that interferes with the free market issue? And then it's just like, well, they don't own it. And I'm like, it depends on on what they do or do not own. Does McDonald's own its own recipe? Because you know, even though they do own like the burger, like those ingredients are free market. So why do they deserve to keep the copyright for, say, the burger, or like why are they allowed to keep their ingredients under those clause? Like how much of this or how much of that is in their burger? How come they're allowed to keep that as opposed to, say, just keeping the copyright on, say, those ingredients? Because those ingredients aren't earned by them. Oh lord. Like, if anything scares me in this game, it's the creeps. Oh! Fuck off! Thank you. And like the big heavy hitter that comes up in that conversation, in those kinds of conversations that I've had, is like, where does the medicine fall into that play? Because medicine is, you know, like it's a huge fucking deal, because it's like, like if somebody doesn't certify that shit, if the safety standards aren't there, you've got a lot of people dying. And the people who've been the people who like deny that who deny like intellectual property rights should go to pharmaceutical companies is like, well, that's illegal. Selling bad products is illegal. And I'm just like, so you have no interest in preventing malpractice at all. You want there to be no opportunity to prevent malpractice. And when somebody dies about it, it's just like, well, you know, they'll face the consequences later. It's just like, I can't accept that we can't have any precautionary measures, because, you know, that's the big... Malpractice is a huge issue, and it can explode in a free market. That's why we have that's why we have fucking like the highest fucking rates of medicine rates in America. It's because we have it's because of its own self-regulation. Because hey, they regulated so much that it's like, hey, it's entirely self-contained. Like, the companies got too big, and like that's why we don't have free healthcare and bullshit like that. It's because it's all self-contained, and it's like I'm not endorsing the show by any means, but the Adam Ruins Everything like bit on it is so amazing, because it's just like, hey, they get to virtually charge whatever they want, because, you know, like they managed to create monopolies based around like the quality of business expenses that are absolutely unnecessary. And of course, you know, a big issue comes into play is that it's like, well, they don't allow for international laws to take place. And, you know, that was entirely like that was entirely America's issue for a while, up until like those laws were passed, like like it was official, hey, our medicine is ours and no other medicine can come here. Like, for a while we got outsider medication. I don't know at what time we decided the pharmaceutical industry just decided to become self-contained giants. All I know is that it's a huge issue right now. And saying that, no, they own that entire industry and that's just the way it is, good luck, asshole, is just, it's not a healthy mentality. It's not. Like, I just can't agree with the idea of, like, industries just, it's too little too late. Big industries are big industries. It's like, they don't... I feel like libertarians who have that ideology don't see the forest for the trees and don't understand that monopolies are huge fucking issues, because once you get to a certain point in monetary divide in wage inequality, guess what? Production is owned by major corporations, and there's no way an independent person can jump on that market without, effectively just being ruined, being taken to the cleaners. It's like I can only think of like a computer company, right? Like what's who can dive in onto like a direct like full on computer operations market? Like Microsoft and Apple, like they own that shit. Why? Because they started they started that entire premise of there being computer operating systems. And of course there is Linux, but it's like any other operating system is just it pales. It pales in comparison. And anybody hoping to gain leverage on that market is gonna be fucked. It's a poor business decision if you want to go into business when it comes to operating systems. Because if you got a new operating system that doesn't connect you with the rest of the world, then you're fucked. It's all big competition between three big powers. And no independent person can get in on that. I don't know. This is part of my big old rambling spiel. That's what I do in this game, and of course I get into the politics. I like the politics. And like of course I'm having a big one-man argument. But I think I've got some pretty interesting ideas on how like the market works and what have you. And it's like while at the same time intellectual property rights do protect they do protect people when it comes to like necessities like the medicine thing. Like I said, like intellectual property rights on medicine, it can be essential because they have to pass health codes and whatnot. But it also steals from people. Like it also steals like Disney. Disney's the big one where it's like, hey, we can't utilize any of Disney's properties anymore. I mean, we used to be able to, but now we can't. Guess what? Snow White, fucking Disney owns that shit. Unless you tread carefully, you can't use that shit. You can't invent anything with those characters. Like, Disney owns those characters because fuck you. And same goes for there are a few exceptions, like Universal was gracious enough to not dig up Frankenstein. Dig up Frankenstein. He's not a zombie, so it doesn't work out. I just thought it was funny because it was like sort of dark humor. I'm gonna take a sip of my soda really quick. My throat's getting dry. Anywho. But it's like, thank God that Universal didn't decide to, just patent a whole bunch of shit. Luckily, we can still use, like, mummies and whatever initial characters that they've created within the last 50 years. I mean, that was the whole initial idea behind intellectual property rights, was to protect the artists. But in the end, they end up screwing over the artists. Why? Because fucking intellectual property rights can be bought up. And to me, that's I want to say it's preposterous. Like I can see, I don't agree with intellectual property rights and the ability to purchase in their entirety, and the ability to purchase them in their entirety. I can understand like being able to create to sell your property akin to like shareware, where it's like, hey, you can use this, but I can still use this too. Because it's like, more times than not, people have to, like, there's George Lucas, like, he gave his entirety of his intellectual properties to Disney. He gave Indiana Jones to Disney. And now, guess what? Even though it's his brainchild, like, regardless of your opinion of him, like, I don't like him, but regardless of what happens now, he can't do dick with that property license. He can't do anything with it. And if he has any idea that comes through that is akin to that, guess what? Like, he has to either ask Disney or go fuck himself. And, you know, like I said, I don't like him, but I disagree with just the ability to sell ideas, like literal fictional concepts in their entirety. I feel like the artist deserves some part of, oh god, let's leave, getting out, getting the fuck out, not wanting to go down. Are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding me? Get out of here, get out of here. All right, here we go. I see you down there. See you. Oh god. Oh god. It's fine though. It's fine. I see you too. Yeah, there you go. Now you roast. Like, you've got to imagine, like, I mean, you don't have to imagine it, but I wonder what it's like to have a creeper explode on you. Is it wet? Is it, I mean, I can't imagine that it's wet, because you get gunpowder from their explosions occasionally. Maybe it just depends on the, is that a, no, that's not a, good. I was afraid that was another Enderman. But yeah, I disagree with the ability to, regardless of whether or not the artist is willing, it's like, an artist should have access to their to their ideas, no matter who they are. And then once that 50 years or so passes, if they want to hang on to it, like, they can. Like, okay, like, it's not like, see, that's the hot button issue, isn't it? It's like, you know, after that 50 years passes, like, okay, you know, I'm gonna argue for my own idea, and suggest that it's like, what if the author owns it until they're fucking dead? And it's like, once they're dead, then people can actually, like, mass produce that stuff and claim it as their own without having to go through a big old song and dance just because some company slapped their logo on it and slipped the government a fucking 20 in order to make sure to say, hey, we own this now. Because it's really doing a disservice to the rest of the world being able to, like, to just hold on to something for so long and not allow direct influence. Because, like, look at Shakespeare. Shakespeare was influenced by a fucking old story that, at his time, say, like, they had identical copyright laws in ye olde England back then. It's like, hey, if like, fucking, like, William Shakespeare would have been fucking sued for Romeo and Juliet if he even tried to do something like Romeo and Juliet, because Romeo and Juliet was already a fucking story back then. He just popularized it. If that same author had copyrighted that shit, boom, there goes his career. He's shunned. He's, like, all of the money that he was given, like, just flies out the window to the original creator of, to whoever owns the rights to the initial creation of those characters of that story. Like, and that's a common misconception, I feel. It's like the idea that fucking Shakespeare made Romeo and Juliet. And I mean, like, granted, like, he of course did some major changes to it, but not something that, like, get a good enough lawyer from modern age, and yeah, you can point out, like, say, yeah, he stole this, he stole that. Everything in this fucking play is pretty much just stolen, give or take a few poetic lines. By the way, that's my main issue with Romeo and Juliet, I'm just saying. But, like I said, regardless of what I think, like, intellectual property rights present a huge issue for the community at large, for artists. Like, it's like, if one of my books, God willing, like, any, if anybody, like, tries to take if anybody, like, tries to publish my book and I end up accidentally handing over all of the rights to my book, guess what? I can't write anything based off of that property. And that property could either be misused or it would just be eaten up into nothing. Like, take, for example, like, Gotham by Gaslight. Like, one of the most influential Batman graphic novels. Like, there was a game that was built on that concept. And, you know, while the novel is bleh, in my opinion, like, the game that was supposed to be based off of it goes fucking nowhere. Because some fat cat owns that property. First of all, some other fat cat owns Batman. And another fat cat owns the production of that game that no longer exists. And that intellectual property belongs to both of them. Even though the guys who, regardless of whether or not the people who were in charge of that product want to continue making that product or make something like that product, they can't do it. They can't do it. The people with the means don't bother, and the people who can actually produce it legally can't. It's really peculiar. It's quite frankly stupid that they can't do that shit. And of course there are ways to go about it, like, you know, the ukulele to your Banjo-Kazooie style sort of game. But it's like, why is this property still a thing when, like, nothing's being done with it? Like, I mean, why should someone have to buy that property when there's already development in progress? Like, why create a copyright to a throwaway why hold on to a patent to an idea that was that's already incepted? Like, you don't have to take credit for that game, even though, like, okay, tell you what. How about a proposal? Say somebody, like, man, my voice is cracking all up and down. Say someone, like, finishes developing that product on their own time. Like, do you deserve, like, a percentage depending on how much money you on how much money you put into the initial product? Sure. Do you deserve the entirety of the product and its gains that it receives? No. That adds like reason as to why the workers should own the means of the production. Because if they own the means of the production, that means they can actually get that shit done, sell it, and therefore you won't have to chalk up anything to an absolute loss. Like, it's economically sound, and anybody who says that's not an economically sound process is fucking lying to you. They're fucking lying to you if they say that isn't an economically fair process. And it's like, to top that off, it's like, I'm pretty sure the original creator of Batman is dead. So it's like, why does WB own rights to it still? Because fuck you. Why does DC Comics own the entirety of Batman still? Because fuck you. That's why. Because even though the initial creators are dead, they can use it to push their brand. And how do they do it? Through bullshit intellectual property right laws that don't actually protect our authors' rights at all. Like, just imagine how many good Superman stories we'd have had we not had to go through a fucking gated style, like, fucking publication process. How many good Batman novels we'd have if we didn't have to go through that publication process. It would be amazing. We would have so much interesting and new material to use with old characters. And now all we have is a big old mess in fanfiction.net. Because, like, fanfiction.net, like, anybody who isn't like all the great writers, like who want to do something with their favorite heroes, simply can't, because like either their ideas have been rejected by that company, or that company took what would be too big a cut for them to actually pursue such a concept. That it's ridiculous. Like, we've missed out on so much thanks to that. And the reason why, like, I sort of dissed fanfiction.net and everything akin to it is because the people who are actually good at their craft, who are genuinely decent at their craft. Now, I'm sure there are a few good fan fictions out there. Like, there were a few good fan fiction adaptations that I can't think of off the top of my head, the top of the muffin to you, that are just so good. They're just such neat concepts that could be explored and valued by the community, but they have to pay some schmuck who isn't even alive to, who may not have even been alive during that product's, like, creation. They have to pay them. Why? Because, I don't know, there's some kind of bullshit inheritor. There's some kind of, like, some kind of crony whose papers just happen to land, who just happen to have a whole bunch of papers land in their hand by entitlement, or, you know, just saying, hey, here's this. It's just a handout. It's just they're handed that property. And it's not right. I'm going to just say it right now. It's just not right for anybody to own, for any business to own something in its entirety, no matter how much money they put into it. At the end of the day, the artist should be able to negotiate the use. Should be able to negotiate his own use of a product that he created, that he developed, that he typed out, painted, what have you. It's their product, and they deserve the entirety of the. They deserve at least something from what they've put into it. Like I don't agree with the way that George Lucas handed over Star Wars. Now, well, I agree with him handing over Star Wars, okay? But I don't agree with him handing over Star Wars. I mean, I'm sure that if you actually understood my vomitive language, my freestyle thought process, that you'd get what I'm trying to say. Like, Disney should, like, be able to use that property. Use, yes. Own, no. No matter how much money you have, no company should be entitled to your work. Means of production, baby. That's what we should have. It's what everyone and the mothers should have. Oh man, this is nerve-wracking, this place. Although it does look pretty genuine. Like, oh hey, speaking of Minecraft, it's like that's a great example of this issue. It's like now Microsoft owns Minecraft, and no matter what, like, fucking Notch can't. I mean, regardless of whether or not I agree with him, I don't. Much like George Lucas, it's like he can't do anything with his fucking with Minecraft anymore, even though it's his baby. Like, even though he made it from scratch, it's like I find it frustrating that the initial creator, like, can't have direct input anymore. He can have inspirational input. Like, no one's denying that. I'm not denying that. But he certainly can't, like, be a producer. He can get, like, a special thanks, but that just about covers it. And to me, that's a load of bullshit. Like, every artist should be entitled to what they create. Like, Once again, I mean that's why I argued that communism can be beneficial to the artist as well. I mean, of course, the worker, the manual laborer. There you go. Because artists are workers too, believe it or not. They may have their own methods of working, but it's working nonetheless. I can tell you how exhausting it is to edit my books, how exhausting it is to write them. Like, try writing an essay, a student essay for the rest of your life. And tell me that that's not fucking work. It's fucking work having to think. Just because you're not a manual laborer, just because you don't have an office cubicle, doesn't define your work. Now hold on. The big issue with certain aspects of communism is labor hours, is the labor wage. It's saying, hey, however much work you put in, that's the equivalent to worker dollars. And I was in favor of that system for a short time in like early college, late high school. But in the end, I dropped out of that idea because it goes into that whole debate of where does that line draw? What can one define truly as work? Because, some people can say, oh, going on a trip and promoting a brand, even though they aren't officially doing anything, like on paper, they're working still. Money, please. A labor hour, dollars, please. It doesn't work. It doesn't work out. And same goes for writers. It's like, oh, I had writer's block. Paid vacation. Here I come. And the rest of us writers who are working are still genuinely working. We're saying, no, hold on. We're working. We're typing out shit. And it's like, I have my own process of writing. Sometimes I'm sitting there scratching my head for hours. Like, coming up with maybe a couple sentences at best. And do I think I deserve as much money as someone who is typing out? Who is typing out more than me? Maybe, maybe not. That's entirely up into interpretation, and that's my issue. That's my big issue with the labor hours concept. And, of course, I don't think that capital is the best idea either. I was recording a college class the other day where, it's my job to record that kind of stuff. And it's like, they were talking about how capital can be a great motivator. And yeah, it is. Everybody wants to be rich, everybody wants to eat, and what have you. But it's only a motivator if you're already stable. For those who aren't stable, it's far from a motivator. It's a carrot on a stick. It's like saying walk or die. And that's the big issue there. It's like, maybe with a big enough safety net, maybe currency can work. But overall, I'd say that the way that the system is right now, we need to make sure that income, that monetary income, is still a motivator, and that's not something that people make. No one should work a job that they don't enjoy, and that's my statement. Because it's like, my dad has shit days at work, and I have shit days at work too. But I enjoy what I do. Can I live a stable life on it? Fuck no, I wish I could, but I can't. And I need to keep looking for another job to fill that empty void. Therefore, I'm being led by a carrot on a stick, as opposed to, actually being motivated to do it. And same goes for anybody else who is working a job that barely gets them by. And, that's why I can appreciate certain aspects of capital, like the teacher mentioned, the motivational methods. It's just that those motivational methods, they don't pan out as a good enough quality to justify their existence, if that makes any sense. They cause more damage than they do positives, and I think the wealth gap, occupational the occupational wage gap, etc., is all just signs of that blatant issue. Oh boy. Oh boy, I am rambling, and maybe one day I'll escape out of this labyrinth. Man, I did go pretty far down though. Got nothing that I really succeeded at. Nothing real new. The important thing, though, is that I didn't die and lose my valuable fucking fishing rod, because if that happened, I'd definitely be boned. And before I keep going, let's make sure I got my compass. Okay, good. I'm projecting forward. No, there we go. I'm heading toward where I am, and I need to book it because it is turning nighttime. And I don't want it to be nighttime. I'm scared of the night. In the dark of the night, creepers will find you, find you. In the dark of the night, skeletons too, skeletons too. I'll get these later. I'll get these definitely later. Come on, thank you. Yeesh. This ain't good. This ain't good. I'm gonna have skeletons and creepers following my ass for days. Man, how far is this dang on place, huh? Yeah, it's nighttime now. Yes, it is. That's not a good sign. Oh dear. Alright, let's look down. There we go. Anyway, the world's a big old mess. And I'm just a man trying to do the best he can. What's over here? Aha! Aha! Okay. Well, first, we need to seal this thing up. Like so. And... Huh. Okay, so I was worried. I was wondering, why am I so far away? Why haven't I reached the end yet? Wait, where's... Is it all the way on the other side? Shit. Shit. I recognize this motherfucker. Dang. Alright. Or, where is it? It's supposed to be that way, but... this is concerning. This is concerning. I better follow my torches. That's what these are for. And I temporarily forgot. Oh god. Oh god, I hear the pitter-patter of skeleton feet. There I am. There it is. Was I blind? Maybe. Probably. Alright, let's just keep running the base. The Black Eyed Peas. Black Eyed Peas, let's get to our giant gumball machine in the sky. All those kids love their gumball machines. So I say, why not make a gumball machine? And you just insert the coin, and you hold the cup underneath the thing, and pshaw! Oh man, Sea Captain is one of my favorite Simpsons characters. I also hate Frank Grimes. I wonder if that's one of the episodes that I have on my iTunes thing. Because, what a great fucking real-ass fucking episode. Where it's just like, hey, here's all the issues with fucking capitalism. It's essentially opportunism. Basically all it is. And the episode is mostly correct. I mean, you've got the top richest guys in the world. Like, Bill Gates made himself, but, you know, he was also big cheese in college. He was like, not only, like, it wasn't just smarts. It's like he couldn't have gone into his big college had he not been able to afford to. And it's like, thanks to his dad being able to afford his son going to college, that got him to develop the thing. And same goes for Steve Jobs. And fucking Warren Buffett is just a really good investor. Just gets really fucking lucky. And now he's got money to burn. And so it's like he can't spend enough money in his fucking day. And Carlos Slim, same issue. Big risk taker ended up paying off in the end because he's like, hey, I'm going to get, say, $10,000 and invest it into the market. Hey, look at me. I'm accidentally won like $1 million. Let's buy up businesses. Whoops, look at that. Mexico doesn't have any policies on monopolies. Hey, I can buy up all the businesses I want. Now I've got an entire country's economy at my fingertips. People wonder why money corrupts. Anyway, stay wild. Do I say that at the end of these my Minecraft stuffs? I don't care anymore. Bye bye.